Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you at this important summit. Now, I want to start by quoting a 2021 International Labour Organization report, which was titled Skills Development in the Time of COVID-19, which noted that the COVID-19 pandemic is the most significant health crisis that the world has faced in the past 100 years. It has disrupted our way of living with unprecedented consequences for our daily lives, including how we work and how we learn. 14% of working hours were lost globally in the second quarter of 2020 when compared to the last quarter of 2019. The report further notes that, and I quote, "This loss is equivalent to 480 million full-time jobs, an indication of a massive disruption of labor markets around the world. The situation jeopardizes the accomplishment of the Sustainable Development Goals, in particular Goal 8, which states that we should promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all." And its target 8.5, which calls for achievement by 2030 of full and productive employment and decent work for all. As it relates to the impact on the workplace, the report notes that there is an important change in the work modality, as roughly 1/3 of the world's workers live in countries where workplaces were required to close, with the exception of those for essential workers. And another 42% of workers were in countries with partial workplace closures. As it relates to the impact on education, the report makes the point that major disruptions were faced in the education sector, setting back progress in the achievement of Goal 4 of the SDG, which is ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. At the peak of the crisis in late March 2020, close to 1.6 billion students worldwide were affected by school closure. Education and training institutions struggled to achieve a timely compliance with physical distancing measures in order to contain the spread of the pandemic and to switch from face-to-face training to distance learning. South Africa was obviously not immune to the multidimensional impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The National Income Dynamic Coronavirus Rapid Mobile Survey knows that during the first wave of the pandemic, while many lives were saved, approximately 2.8 million people lost their jobs under the lockdown. This figure represents an 18% decline in employment between February to April 2020. Just this week, Stats SA informed us that South Africa's unemployment rate rose to 32.6% in the first quarter of 2021 from 32.5% in the previous period. This was the highest job loss rate since comparable data began in 2008. This means that the number of unemployed persons increased by 8,000 to 7.2 million. Employment fell by 28,000 to 15 million, and the labor force went down by 20,000 to 22.2 million. And a further breakdown suggests that the total employment fell mostly in construction, which is minus 87,000, trade, which lost 84,000, private households, which lost 70,000, transportation services with 40,000, and agriculture, but it rose sharply in financial services with an additional 215,000 jobs created. Furthermore, the expanded definition of unemployment, including people who have stopped looking for work, was at 43.2%, up from 42.6% in the prior period. Also, young people and the rate of youth unemployment, measuring job seekers between 15 and 24 years old, hit a new record high of 63.3%. Now, in response to all of this, government developed the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan, and in support of this plan, we as a department have developed a skills strategy to support the implementation of the Economic Recovery Plan, and which, as you might be aware, was presented to Cabinet on the 29th of January this year. Our skills strategy set out a set of core interventions to ensure the effective implementation of the economic reconstruction and recovery plan. There's a particular focus on interventions to allow large numbers of young people to access opportunities in the short term to ensure that they are able to be absorbed into high potential growth sectors in order to boost job creation. To this end, various sectors have already committed and others are finalizing their commitments to investment in occupations identified in the skills strategy, such as the initial commitment by the Manufacturing, Engineering and Related Services Education and Training Authority, or MESITA, of about 77.8 million to support centers of specialization. The MICT SITA is focusing on digital skills such as data science, cybersecurity, software development, cloud computing, cell phone repairs, with a budget of about 69 million. The Agricultural Sector Education and Training Authority has initially committed for the next 3 years a budget of about 49 million to support learners in agricultural colleges, and this is critical to the economic recovery plan's priority intervention relating to agriculture and food security. Is it related to the National Skills Fund, despite the 3.3 billion from the surplus of the NSF towards the National Student Financial Aid Scheme shortfall to support education and training through bursaries. Initiatives in the NSF Skills Development Project pipeline in 2021-2022 will proceed as planned. The NSF's priorities in the current financial year include artisan development, occupational programs through the TVET colleges, and interventions geared towards people with disabilities, digital skills, and also innovation. The National Skills Fund is also targeting the expansion of funding for small, medium, and macro enterprises and cooperative skills development and rural focus funding to support local and rural development initiatives through the district-led model. The various interventions of the National Skills Fund will support the skills development of 60,000 beneficiaries. For example, the NSF Artisan Development Request for Proposals targeted at public entities and state-owned companies for the benefit of 4,000 apprentices in the first 2 years will be launched on the 11th of April next year. This follows the funding application for the first phase of the Artisan Request for Proposals aimed at private skills providers that closed in 2020 and to benefit 4,500 apprentices in 2 years from this year into the next financial year. From the 2021 academic year, all our 50 public TVET colleges will benefit over 20,000 learners with access to training opportunities through the National Skills Fund's 2.2 billion funding window. The funding is toward occupationally directed programs up to 2024 and entails apprenticeships, learnerships, skills program, work integrated learning, capacity building, as well as specialized equipment. The 2.9 billion allocation by the National Skills Fund and sector education and training authorities towards the TVET infrastructure development in various campuses has yielded positive result. Of the 13 campuses in the Eastern Cape, KZN and Mpumalanga, 6 sites have achieved practical completion and are at the occupational phase. This include the refurbished Mchasana TVET Nongoma campus in KwaZulu-Natal, the new Eastern Cape Midlands TVET in the Graf Reinet campus in the Eastern Cape, the new SIED TVET Umzinkulu campus in KZN, the refurbished Umfolozi TVET Nkandla A campus in KZN, and the new Ikala TVET Aliwal North campus in the Eastern Cape, and the refurbished Waterberg TVET Tabazimbi campus in Limpopo. The completion of the remaining TVET college sites remains a critical intervention for increasing the capacity of TVET colleges to provide access for young people who are not in employment, education, or training, and enroll more students in critical occupational programs. This includes 5 sites expected to be completed during this year, which includes the Umgungundlovu TVET, the new Ingwe TVET, the new the new Umgungundlovu TVET College Greytown campus in KZN, and the new Ikala TVET in Aliwal North, and the refurbished Mchasana TVET in KZN. Also, the construction of the new Garsibande TVET Balfour campus in Mpumalanga is expected to be completed in 2022-2023. These are but just some of the interventions that we're making as a department in support of government's economic reconstruction and recovery plan. We're fully aware that it would require much more than government intervention for us to put on our country on the path of full economic recovery. And for this reason, I wish to encourage all our social partners to continue working with us and for us to intensify the national efforts towards economic recovery. I wish you a productive summit and look forward to the outcomes of your deliberations. And